Okay, here we go. We have one of the most rising R&B singer-songwriters and producers in the GTA area right now, Noel Pink. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. How you doing? You good?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for coming by to TLOY for the very first time and all that. And it's actually interesting too because I actually found it out. I actually found out more about you from the performance I went to last month for the Northern Dreams tour and all that.
Yeah.
You being like one of the one of the artists performing and all that. And I stopped by at the Toronto show and it was a dope vibe from your performance to bringing out a mirror to even giving this unique energy when performing live. It's like an amazing experience and all that.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Most definitely. And I wanted to ask, how did you feel about that performance, that night in Toronto?
It was amazing because like the whole time we were doing shows in cities, we like me personally, I've never been to these cities. You know what I mean? So like nobody really knew me as much in Montreal and Ottawa. So coming back home to Toronto, it was like everybody saw what we were doing, and then now they finally get to be a part of the experience, and you get to bring everything you learned and like show it to them. It was really cool, you know?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And it was dope to even hear the music too. I don't wanna, that whole marijuana based song, that was very amazing too. Cookies and Cream, it's very dope too. Goodbye with a Mirror, also fire as well too. And then you had other singles like Over and Danielle and all that, which are also amazing to hear and all that.
Yeah.
I just noticed the energy and vibe from that. They're all dope songs from there too. And I was reading the bio for a bit too that I think you already explained this too, but your stage name, it's actually your actual name, in respect of your father and all.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate that you listen to the music and you know the songs and everything. Thank you, man. I'm glad that you like the songs. And so my name is actually not Noel Pink. My name is Jamal Pink, and my father's name is Noel Pink. He is a person who got me into music. He has been such a major influence in my life and just the person that I've become today. So I remember one day I told him, Dad, I want to do music. And he's like, do it. You could do it. You'll be a star. And I said, I want to use your name. And he was so happy about that. You know what I mean? So it's a tribute to him.
Oh, most definitely, man. So, I want to start it off right here. So, born in 1994 in Sudbury, Ontario. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you grew up in Sudbury, Brampton, and Malton, as well, too.
Yeah.
True. So, within those areas, which neighborhoods, in those areas did you grow up at? And what were the environments growing like for you growing up in the late 1990s, early 2000s to late 2000s to early 2010s? And would you say it was a great experience, growing up, or would it be very different?
I would say I had a great childhood. I was born in Sudbury. I lived there for 2 years. And then we moved to the Toronto area, the GTA. And we lived in Malton. Malton was definitely a good place to grow up, but at the time I was living there, at least it was a little different than it is now. It was kind of a little bit more violent and a little bit more just certain crimes, maybe theft and possession and selling drugs and certain things like that. It had a little bit of violence in the city, but luckily I played basketball, so that kind of kept me away from that. I had friends who I would play basketball with them and I kind of knew what they were doing. But I knew no, that's probably not really a world for me. So I'll just stick to just playing but play basketball. And growing up in the time, like you said, in the late 2000s, it was all Chris Brown, Usher, Trey Songz, even Michael Jackson still. So that's who I was watching on 106 in Park after school every day. And I was trying to sing like them, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool.
I know with Malton too. I have a couple people from there I've actually interviewed in the past too. That talked about their experience growing up in Malton and in other parts too, in Mississauga and all that. And usually within those areas too, Brampton, it's well known musically with Tori, Alicia, the 4 Year Entertainment Crew and all that, Toby, all those other people too. But no one really talks about Malton musically and all that. So in those specific areas, were they big for music at the time growing up?
Rap. A lot of rap. Actually, even the first music group I was ever part of was a rap group. It was 4 of us. It was called Raw Era. Anybody who's watching it might remember Raw Era. But so we used to rap, and I remember we did. There was this song Chief Rocker, the one Chief Rocker, number one Chief Rocker. So we did a freestyle to it, right? And it started getting a lot of views. We put it on YouTube. We did a video. First week, it had 7,000 views. One of the guys in the group, he tweets it to RZA from Wu-Tang Clan. This is like no word of a lie. RZA retweets it and he's like, yo, you guys are dope. Keep doing your thing, whatever. All of a sudden, EMI makes us take the video down because we don't own the instrumental. So that's kind of how I got into producing music as well. And that's how I stopped rapping. Because like, man, like, I'm not doing this no more. Yeah, we were so deflated, man. Like, oh, man. But yeah, so Malton was very big on rap and very big on basketball at the time. Everybody played basketball. Everybody rapped. That was it. If you didn't do that, nobody was talking to you, you know?
Yeah. So. Mind if I ask, like, who are, like, the other members, like, of your, like, group?
Yeah, of course. So it was, like, this guy named Truth. He's the one who started the group. I haven't seen him in a while, but shout out to him. Like, he was, like, the perfect performer. He always had, like, the best energy, the best confidence. Like, you used to look at him on the stage and want to be like, I want to perform like him. Because if you're feeling nervous or whatever, you look at him, you're like, oh, no, we're good, you know? And then there was this guy, Matt Blackwood. He was an amazing rapper too, and he's still making music. And then there was Eyes at the time. He went by the name of Eyes. His name is Josh Charles. I don't know if he wants me to say that, but that's his name. So they were like my brothers. They were like my best friend. We played basketball together and rap together. We used to just put on beats and just freestyle, you know, just all day.
And what was like the main reason for the breakup and all that? Just like different like passions at the time, or just?
When you're in a group, it's hard because sometimes, like, to make one song and there's 4 different people and people want their verses to be this long, or people don't really want to do this beat, or people don't want to do a video for this. It's really hard to get all of your interests on the same page. And at the time, that's when I was discovering that I kind of like to sing a little more than I like to rap. And I kind of wanted to more venture into that. And I think it was just naturally, we just started making our own music individually.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And you know, getting back into the whole like experience like back then with music, like, you know, prior to you like being in the group and all that, you know, like, so you talked about like being influenced by like Trey Songz and Chris Brown, like listening to that growing up. But what was like your first actual like introduction to music like, and what were like some artists or sounds that you listened to like throughout your life in that sense?
I think the first music I ever remember listening to, Unbreak My Heart by, I believe it's Tony Braxton. I hope I'm not getting that right. Yeah, right? It's been a long time since I listened to the song, but that, I remember I used to be a kid, like 2 years old, and my stepfather used to take me everywhere with him. And he used to sing too, right? So he used to take me to McDonald's, and then he was singing one time, and I started singing, and all I remember, oh my God, look at the little babies singing, whatever, and they'll give me food. So then, if I wanted McDonald's, he would take me to McDonald's and be like, Jamal at the time, Jamal, sing. And then so I would sing to them and like kind of get like French fries or get a Happy Meal for free and stuff. And that's when I started like associating like, oh, people like it if you sing, and you can like kind of, I fell in love with the performative aspect of it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Most definitely, man. And so what was like I know that you talked about, you know, you performing at McDonald's like for the Happy Meals and fries, and being in the rap group too. And, you know, talking about, like, your dad, like, being in, like, music at the time, too. But what was, like, your musical history and background like for, like, other aspects? And what inspired you to do, like, the R&B singing, songwriting, and, like, producing more seriously?
I think definitely just having singers in the family. Like I said, like my dad, like my stepdad, like, a little later on in life, singing with them. 106 in Park being a big influence, because I remember at school, all the girls that I liked, they liked Chris Brown. So then I'm just like, okay, well, how do I, like, you know what I mean? Oh, he sings. Oh, I could kind of sing. I remember singing at McDonald's. Let me try, maybe I could sing to them. And then so I would sing them like yo, or like, I remember I broke up with a girl in grade 5 and I sang, I sang, you know, a song, there's never a right time to say goodbye. Anyways, there's a song like that. And I was like singing it to her, and like, that was the dumbest thing I could have done. But I think just wanting to be like the guys that the girls liked at my school, and wanting the girls that I like to like me, you know?
Definitely, man. I mean, like, at that time, too, like, the late 2000s, you know, like, when Chris Brown was, like, dealing with a lot of situations. Mm-hmm. And then sort of coming back with the whole, like, Michael Jackson performance at BET and all that, was it a tough time to actually do, like, Chris Brown songs back then to sway the people?
Yeah, I remember, like, at that time, I had started to listen to some other artists as well. But I remember at that time feeling like, oh, man, like, this is somebody, like, now it was kind of difficult to navigate, because at one point, like, he was still like a person that I really looked up to, and I was in like grade 8 around that time, especially like musically and stuff. But I knew that I didn't agree with some of the stuff that happened. So luckily I had like Usher and who else was it around that time?
Trey Songz,
was
Jeremiah,
starting.
like at the time too.
All them.
I mean, Miguel like sort of blew up like with his first album that Party inspired to use that sample like on the first like tape and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that was a crazy sample too. Yeah.
Most definitely. But what other artists and genres are you mainly like influenced by, and who are like some artists that you would like to work with someday musically?
Influence wise, like later in high school, I really became like inspired by Pharrell Williams, and seeing him like produce music. Because like I said, after EMI made us take down my video, I started getting into production as well. Bruno Mars, from the standpoint of like his musicality, I saw him performing live, not like in person, but on YouTube, playing piano, playing guitar, playing bass, playing drums, singing. He wrote the song. He wrote the bridge. He wrote like everything instrumentally and vocally, and then performed it and then danced. And I was like, man, like I gotta get a lot better if I'm gonna like even try to do this. So then I started learning how to play piano and stuff because of Bruno. So I'd say Bruno, Pharrell, Usher still, probably those guys.
Most definitely, man. And getting into your music right now with the R&B, like what's your creative process when making music and producing a beat, and what would a day like in making and recording and producing music be like for you?
Well, so for me, my creative process, anytime I'm gonna make a song, honestly, it kind of just hits me. Like I'll just be doing nothing. I'll just be playing 2K or just doing whatever, right? And then a melody would just hit me, and I'll just like have to stop, and I'll just have to go to my computer, play that melody in, or just record it. And maybe I don't have lyrics, but I'll just start singing the melody. And then usually, like a lot of my creative process is very like involved with harmony. So then I'll start singing the harmonies to the thing, and then once I have all the harmonies I like, then I'll start adding lyrics after. Or sometimes I'll start to think of, well, what does this beat that I made feel like? What does this melody feel like? What in my life can I overlay like over this soundtrack? What story can I tell over this now that I've created this like canvas for myself? And then once I find that, I'll just start filling in the blanks, and then usually the song comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And usually people like in the studio too and all that, like they'll have like certain people with them, and like they'll do like certain stuff to get in that element. Like smoking weed or like drinking for a bit too. Like is that kind of like your vibe and all that, or like are you kind of like indifferent to it?
I think weed, like especially around 2019 to 2021, like during the pandemic and stuff. Like I wrote "I Don't Wanna," I was high. I remember writing "I Don't Wanna," which I think is still probably my best performing song, like live and even just streaming and whatever. And I had wrote the first verse, and it got to the part, the "Don't wanna go to school." I didn't have that yet. I just had nothing. And I was sober at the time, and I'm like trying to think, like, what the hell do I write at this part? What can I say? What can I say? And I started to get frustrated. And so I just decided to go smoke some weed just because, right? And then I came back in, and I was going to just stop writing the song, but I'm like, let me just hear what I have again. So I played it from the beginning all the way through, and it got to that part, and all of a sudden it just hit me like, don't wanna go to... So I just started writing, and then the song was done. So weed has been such a huge part creatively for a lot of the music. But as of 2023, it's been my New Year's resolution to quit smoking weed as well. So, yeah.
Definitely. But like at that time too, like what were like strains that you mainly used? Like did you use like indica, sativa, and are you like more like a backwards type of guy and all that, or like with the grabba and like with the frontal leaf and all that, or like are you kind of like using like more spliffs and all that?
I buy pre-rolls because I don't know how to roll. Well, I bought pre-rolls because I didn't know how to roll. I don't smoke now. We'll see. By the time this interview comes up, maybe I'll be smoking weed again. But yeah, it was mostly sativas because they helped me creatively a lot, I found. Indicas would kind of make me not really want to do anything or just like lay down. But sativas would be the strains. Sativa pre-rolls, no grabba because I don't really like tobacco.
True.
In any form. I'm not really trying to smoke any tobacco. But yeah, so just straight up, just pre-roll sativa,
No, most definitely. And when I was like listening to the music, you're more of a single type of guy than like with an album and all that, or with like the full length project. Do you feel like dropping those singles is like better to connect with your fan base than dropping a project, or are you more like inclined to like dropping like a full length like album or project soon?
See, the thing is, like, as far as material wise, I have enough music to make an album, but I don't have enough of a consistent fan base just yet, or enough of an audience to really put all of that material out just for it to get lost. So my approach with the singles was maybe this can gradually bring in a few more listeners, so that by the time I do drop the rest of that material, people are paying attention. Because my biggest fear is to not be heard, I guess, like to just put it all out. And now what? Nobody's even listened. So a lot of these older songs might come out a little later.
I mean, we've talked about like I don't want to look at the creative process with that. You being frustrated and you had to like smoke for a bit too.
Yeah.
But what were like the inspirations and creative processes for other songs such as like Goodbye, Cookies and Cream, over in like Daniela?
So what can I say on here? Like, there's no boundaries. I could just say whatever.
You could say whatever in a way,
Yeah, like, but I'm saying like, there's no there's no limit. Like if I
like
a certain topic.
Like I know, like in some cases too. Like right now, for me, like on the platform, it's like I don't have the subscribers yet to kind of like monetize the content. So you could say whatever, actually.
Okay, well, it's not that bad what I'm about to say. So, Cookies and Cream is about Cookies and Cream is about enjoying pleasing your woman and just enjoying, all of the flavors in the world, and vanilla buttercream, if you know just what I mean, and chocolate chip vanilla swirl, all that. So it's just a song dedicated to enjoying pleasing your woman, and that's it. That's all I can say.
And then I guess with Goodbye, over in Daniela, it's just kind of more like love songs in that basis, or like breakup to makeup type stuff.
Yeah, they're very like personal, like based on experience. Like Goodbye is a perspective of probably a lot of men from this generation, myself at least, knowing that you're in a casual relationship with somebody and you agree that you want to just keep it casual and they agree that they want to just keep it casual. But as you start to progress, you know that they're starting to catch feelings, and you kind of lie to yourself and say, like, this is what we've agreed to. They're fine just keeping it casual, but every time you're with them, you could feel that they're starting to fall. And when you leave, there's this, well, why can't you stay, or why can't we continue to hang out? And so the lyric, I don't know why you still get surprised every time I say goodbye, is like some sort of attempt to capture that conversation in real life and put it into a song. And that's why I wanted to have a woman's perspective as well, so she could say all the things she doesn't like about guys and how they act in this generation, and all the stuff that we could hear and learn from a woman's perspective as well. And like, how it might be different for some of them, or even how she might be in a casual situation and this guy is catching feelings for her and she's like, why are you still getting surprised? I told you what this was, like, keep moving. So that's that song.
Most definitely, man. I think this is like one of the best questions to even like ask in that sense too. So the Northern Dreams tour and all that, you were performing in all 4 cities: Ottawa, London, Montreal, and then Toronto at Bar Cathedral and all that. Okay. I want to figure out, how did you manage to be like on that like roster for a bit to tour and all that, and being on that tour as like a touring artist. Like, tell me more about that experience. Going to like all like 4 cities in that sense too, and the impact that it had for you.
Yeah. So how I became aligned with Dream More. First thing I'll say, anybody who wants to do shows, anybody who's serious about music, anybody who wants to really take the career further and do as many shows as you can, you need to reach out to Dream More, and you need to reach out to Danica Rose. You can call her Danica, you can call her Danica. She has a million names, but she has one job, and it's getting you good at performing. That's it. So anybody who wants to perform, you should go message her right now. But don't tell her I sent you, because she might get annoyed with all the messages. But I remember they had this Dream More Christmas. Like, they always do events around Toronto. And I think I had just done a show somewhere, and I just dropped over, and I did a music video, and I Don't Wanna had come out, and it got on like the Vogue Paris playlist and whatever. And I think they had seen little things about this singer guy, whatever, whatever, whatever. And so they invited me to come and do a show for the Christmas show. I came there. I sold a lot of tickets. I performed well, even though I was nervous as hell, but I performed well. And so they invited me to another show that they were having. So I came in, I sold some tickets, and I performed well. And they invited me to another one. And I think they had seen the growth. And naturally, me and Danica just really started to build like a good relationship with one another. And she's like, hey, like we're having this tour. I know you've never been on tour before, and I know you always talk about wanting to grow as an artist. Do you want to join us? I'll help you. I'll teach you like how to rehearse, how to prepare yourself for this many shows, and we'll kind of look out for you. Do you want to try this experience out? And I was like, yeah. And I gotta say, I think it's really the best thing that I've ever done for my career up to this date, because I've become a much better performer. I've become much more confident. I've built a lot of relationships, and like, I mean, it's just been an amazing memory too, so.
Like for all like the four cities that you've been to right now, like which one would you say like was like the best show that you've had like in a while and all that? Like just like even with the fan base interacting and just like performance wise as well.
I think, like, Toronto, I have a bit of a bias because it's Toronto, but I think Ottawa was the best one. Ottawa was amazing. Anybody who was in Ottawa, I think they will tell you, like, you can ask any of the artists, if you interview them after this, they'll probably all say Ottawa. Because with Ottawa, I brought out a lot of people. Dolo brought out a lot of people. Everybody was just selling tickets. And then we had a surprise, two guests, actually. We had Fame Holiday and Romeo Wilson. They were surprise guests last minute. They shut down the stage as well. And it was just a party. And we just had the place, like, going crazy. It was just, like, the most amazing night. Like, girls screaming, like, people just jumping on the stage, like, random people in the crowd jumping on the stage. Like, it was the best. So I think Ottawa was probably my favorite stop of the tour.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like most definitely, like in that sense too. Getting into more in the producing side as well too. Like, how did you get into it? And tell me more about the gear that you use for your production and to like make music also and all that.
Yeah, so just like before, the production started with like EMI making us remove our song. That was the first song we ever put out, and I never wanted that to happen to me again. So I said, from now on, I'm making my own beats, or I'm gonna have some sort of hand in it in being involved in the production. I had this little laptop at the time that wasn't that good, but it was good enough for me to crack FL Studio. So I downloaded FL Studio, Fruity Loops, started learning about drum programming, started learning about, piano roll, all these different like tools, compressors, whatever, EQ, whatever. And then I ended up going to a school in London, Ontario called Fanshawe, where they had a program, Music Industry Arts. And that teaches you all about production, all about audio engineering, performance, everything. But they use a software called Logic. So I'm like, on my little shitty laptop, like, how do I get Logic? Oh, Logic is only for a Mac. So I went and I got myself a MacBook. And then it's been Logic ever since then.
Definitely, man. And like when I was like watching one of the interviews on Toronto Raptors and all that, you talked about like your love for basketball and like the NBA and all that with the John Morant like jersey that I saw and all that. Yeah. So tell me more about your love for the NBA and basketball and like how you got into it.
Basketball was my first love. Like to this day, if there was just a wish and they're like, you could be in the NBA or you could be a singer, I think I might choose the NBA. You know what I mean? Just because I love playing basketball so much. But even if I was in the NBA, I'd still make music. I think basketball was my first love because all my cousins, everybody I grew up with in Malton, that's what everybody just did. And I remember I was terrible at basketball, but I was fast. So they would always like pick me like just because I could run fast. So I'll just run, chase the ball, like kind of like try to be a pest, even though these kids could like dribble circles around me. And my one friend in grade 6 told me, yo, just come try out for the team, man. Like, just come try out. And I was like, no, I suck. He's like, come try out. I tried out. I went to do a layup in the layup drills. And like, I went to shoot the ball. I shot it over the backboard, over the top of that's how high I shot the ball, over the backboard. I remember the whole gym was laughing. But I remember taking that very like personally, not to sound like the meme, but I felt like embarrassed. So I just worked every day. Came back in grade 7, I was a little better. Came back grade 8, was a little better. And I saw the progression and what hard work can do for you. And then now I think I've been able to apply that to music. Like, even if you're terrible at first, I've already seen the blueprint that working hard at anything can get you to become even incrementally better at it. But over time, that adds up. You know what I mean? So I think it was very important to the person I am today, and I think pretty much all kids should play some sort of sports. It teaches a lot of life lessons.
Oh, sure. Not that's actually like very interesting too in that sense. Just being confident in what you have to do, knowing that anyone can make a mistake, like when playing a sport and all that, or like not feeling that they're the best at it, but like when you have that love and passion for it, like that's actually like very important. You try and try again. You play like hoop with like anyone else too. Or you're doing like some rounds with, like other people too. Like that's like very like interesting too. In that sense,
Yeah,
though.
and like the thing is too, like I've never really been nervous on stage as much as I've been for a basketball game. Basketball game, there's people watching. You could get dunked on, you can get crossed, you can go for a shot, get blocked. Like people could like punk you, you could airball. There's so many things that can go wrong. When you're performing music, like you already know all the lyrics. You just have to just say the. So it's like even if you have a bad show, it's nothing like having a bad game. You know?
It's just like analyzing like the crowd too. Like when you're performing at stage, like on stage and all that, you have to look at like the people like in the crowd too, like analyze their emotions. Is this person like feeling the song and all that? Like,
Yeah.
is that person getting into like a moment where they're relating to it? Like it's analyzing the crowd and like analyzing the people like around you when performing. Like is your like drummer like doing well? Is your like bass player like doing all right? Is your keyboardist like hitting the right notes and all that? So it's like kind of like that in that sense.
Absolutely. It's teamwork, same way.
Yeah, man. So how do you feel about the current NBA season right now, and who are who's your top 5 NBA players of all time, and currently right now?
Oh man, thank you for putting that question in because I never would have thought I would get a basketball question, so that's cool. How do I feel about the current season right now? I'm a little disappointed in the Raptors, but I'm kind of used to that because like my whole life that's been the case sometimes, Very happy to have witnessed that championship run, but right now I'm probably expecting them to blow it up right around the trade deadline. We're going to probably keep Scotty. We're going to probably keep
I think Siakam and all that, and then also Precious, and then OG and all that. I think like they're still gonna stay and all that. Like they still have their contracts up, but I feel like they might trade certain players for other top tier ones, like depending on the amount and the seed and all that. So like free of like the most like I wouldn't say mediocre, but like not like versed, but and they'll maybe trade it for someone sort of like decent and all that, like a decent.
Yeah. I think Pascal's gone. I think Fred is gone. I think they're going to trade both of them. OG might even be gone too, or they might keep one of the three. I think they'll probably keep, if anything, maybe Pascal, but he also has the most trade value. So either way, I think they're probably going to be gone. My favorite player, obviously, if you can't tell by the jersey I was wearing in my last interview, and probably even my hairstyle right now, is Ja Morant. He reminds me of Iverson. That was my favorite player of all time. Also, Kobe. Rest in peace, Mamba. I have a Kobe tattoo as well. I don't know if you can see that there. But that's just more to motivate me of like, no matter what, don't stop working. Just because his work ethic was so legendary. No matter what, no matter how you feel about yourself, no matter how you feel physically, whatever, just work because the work will provide the results. You know what I mean? And then my top 5 NBA players ever. Not in order of greatness, but just my personal favorites. I'll say number 1, Allen Iverson, my all-time favorite player. 2's Kobe. 3, I'll have to say probably Derrick Rose before the injury. That was like one of my favorite players ever. 4, I'll probably say maybe even Ja right now. And then 5, MJ. Again, that's not in order of like who's the best. That's just my favorite. That's just who I looked up to and who I've watched their game the most,
That's definitely like very agreeable, like in that sense too. Like I know for me, I think I said this like in a past interview. So all time, I'd say MJ, then Kobe, then AI, and then Wilt Chamberlain. Chamberlain, like in a sense too, because a leading scorer and all that. Best like within like his own area and all that with
on
dunking
and off
with
the court.
man, exactly. And then Kevin Durant for like number 5 because like at that time too, 2010, 2011, 2012, he was like a beast back then, like without everything else going on and all that, like.
Yeah.
And then I think right now, like just like looking at the current season right now, Trae Young. I think Trae Young, he's definitely like an all-around great player. Just with his energy, free pointers and all that, and just how he analyzes like the court like very well. And then two would be, I think, Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry, like all around great player, like knows how to like play the hoop and all that in that sense too. And then number three, number three. Right now, I'm still like thinking like right now for a bit too. It's like I don't like really analyze it as much too, but I'd say like Luka Doncic. Like I think Luka is like a beast out there, and
He's
then
cold.
yeah. Number four, I think Kyrie Irving in that sense too. So with Kyrie, like I think just with his way of life and like just like how he analyzes the court too, just with how he looks at everything for a bit too, with shooting, guarding, everything else too. Like I think he's like that overall guy in that sense too, and I think because it's kind of tough to put like a five right now because I've had Trey, Steph, Luka Doncic, and then with Kyrie Irving. I think if I were to say like a number five right now, yeah, it's kind of like
it's hard. Five's a lot.
Yeah,
it's hard.
I'd say Ja actually. I think Ja like even like if he's like an all around like great player with the 3-pointers, with his blocking, dunking, and all that, and just how he analyzes the court too for a bit. I think he's an all-around great player. I think he has like that energy, that potential to be like one of the best too.
Yeah.
I feel like one thing that I would disagree with like was him like stepping like on like the main title, like the main court area, like where it had like the logo, doing like this weird dance thing after beating one of the teams.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like unsportsmanlike and all that. Just even with that situation, he is young, but in a sense too, you have to be humble to respect the game.
I hear you. That's like when Kyrie went to the Celtics thing and he stepped on the little leprechaun. I don't know if he has a name, but Kyrie went and stepped on it after beating them. I think NBA players, there's a bit of disrespect, or not even disrespect, but just a bit of you have to be unbothered. They're probably so confident in themselves and their team, they don't care what anybody else thinks, and that's probably what makes them great,
Most definitely. So how do you feel about the Toronto music scene right now at the moment? Do you feel that there should be some changes on the direction of where the scene should go to? Or do you feel like it's fine the way it is?
I think everybody I've met in the Toronto music scene, in the GTA, has been, first of all, so talented. Like, I really think we have probably like some of the most talent in the world. We really do. Like, we have a lot of talented people come here, a lot of different cultural backgrounds, a lot of different influences, and then it comes together in this melting pot, and you learn from the peers around you and what you're seeing in the West. And there's a lot of innovation, a lot of like really good music that comes out of here. Everybody I've met is so talented and also supportive. One thing that I've heard about our music scene is that people try to pull each other down and there's no rooting for one another like in Atlanta, and there's no helping one another. But that's not been my experience at all. I don't know if it's just maybe this new generation of artists that is like more like that or not, but I think we have a great pool of up-and-coming talent here, whether you got from Fame Holiday, from Romeo Wilson, from Tara Lord, from myself, from Dolo, from just so many people. There's so many talented artists that like people may not even know as much about yet, but I think in the next like 2-3 years, you'll start hearing these names more. And hopefully it's a community where we can start uplifting one another and start helping each other get those opportunities,
Yeah, most definitely. And I definitely agree like on that aspect too, because it has improved a lot of stuff, the academics like live stream and all that keeps it solid, like a clubhouse room. And as you said, you wanted to perform at Rolling Loud one day, like in Toronto.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out with Rolling Loud, with people performing. And one of the people that you mentioned, Tara Lord, she even had a slot at Rolling Loud. Yeah. So that's kind of like inspiration in that sense too, to even be in that environment too. So I do feel like Toronto's at a great place right now with the music. I think it's just more so on getting everyone together, to squashing everything going on, and just taking time to having these like resources and labels and everything else too, because they could only provide so much for certain people. Like if we work out more, like as you said with the Dream More Studios tour and all that with Northern Dreams, like it could be beneficial for anyone to perform and anyone to do their thing and all that.
Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely. This is something that I'm incorporating throughout like the new year and all that, like with interviews and all that. But name 3 songs in your catalog that you would recommend for any person that has not heard about you before or that would like to know more about you musically.
If I had to recommend 3 songs for any new listeners, I would say first start with I Don't Wanna, because again, I think that's my best performing song. I think that's the biggest song. and it's done the most for me so far. It's also one of my favorites, especially to perform live. So hopefully you get to see it live one day. Then I would say definitely Goodbye, because I love the synergy with me and Amira. I love how our voices sound with the harmonies, and I think it's just one of my, probably, I think the best song I've ever made. And then I'll say Cookies and Cream, because it's a lot of fun. It gives a different energy. It's more summery, it's more dancey. And those three songs should cover all the bases, no matter what kind of music you like, So I would say those three.
Stuff, man. So what's next for you, like for this year, in terms of like any music releases, anything else going on with creative projects and so forth? And do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say?
Yeah, for sure. So what's next for me in 2023? We have a lot going on. I'm most likely going to tour with Dream More again. Definitely within Canada, probably throughout the States. I may have some shows in New York, may have some shows in Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington. So going to try to get all that like together really soon. We have a music video coming out for Goodbye with me and Amira that's going to have a lot of the footage from the tour. So if you couldn't make it to one of the shows, you get to kind of have that whole behind the scenes tour experience over one of my favorite songs that I've made. That's really cool. I have some new music on the way that I'm not going to say too much about right now, but a song that I'm very proud of that's very personal to me, and it's about grieving, it's about loss, it's about overcoming those feelings and acceptance, and it's very personal, it's very deep. I kind of even cried writing the song. It's about a real life situation where I lost a lot of family members, so that's going to come out this year, probably a video for that. More shows, more videos, more music, and yeah, I'm just excited for this journey to continue,
Most definitely. And where can people find you, like on all like social media accounts and all that? Do you want to like shout out the socials?
Yeah, for sure. So YouTube is Noel Pink Official. Instagram is at Noel_Pink. That's Noel_PINK. TikTok is the same thing, at Noel_Pink. I don't really have Twitter, so don't worry about that. And then as far as shout outs, because I know you mentioned shout out, I want to shout out you first of all for taking the time to like bring me here. And like as an up and coming artist, it's not very often that you think anybody's even paying attention. Sometimes you don't really feel like anybody's paying attention. So the fact that you took your time to like really like look into the songs, to really look into my history and stuff, I got to commend you, and I got to say I appreciate you for having me. If you want, I'm going to have a lot of my artist friends reach out to you, and hopefully that's a continued working relationship that we can build, I want to shout out Dream More. Again, I want to shout out Danica, Danica, D, whatever you want to call her. I want to shout her out. Thank you so much for doing so much for me already. I want to shout out every single Toronto artist that I've had the amazing opportunity to connect with and work with last year. I'm really proud of the community that we're building, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody rise as well. I want to shout out Toronto Raptors too, because they really fucked with me last year and they really helped me out a lot. All my family, anybody who's listened to the song, any fans who might be paying attention or watching this interview, if you watch this, I love you. If you have some of my songs on your phone, I love you. And if you're looking forward to see what's happening next, I love you.
Yeah, most definitely. Noel Pink, thank you for coming by to TLY, to even like sharing your gems, sharing your stories, to even discussing like your history with growing up in like a lot of areas and all that, to being in a rap group, to even taking like R&B and like producing like more seriously and all that with singing songwriting too, and then being on tour and like doing everything else too. Like not a lot of artists can like accomplish like what they've done like from what you've done, and it's definitely amazing to hear and like showcase throughout the platform too. And I wish nothing but the best for you in terms of your endeavors and your creative journey and everything else going on, and we'll definitely like support regardless.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing like your other interviews with some of my collaborators and some of my peers as well. I'm going to be watching from here on out. And hopefully we get another interview after some of this new stuff happens this year too,
Most definitely, man. So I wish nothing but the best, until next time, man, and peace,
Yeah, thank you. Peace, y'all.